right, everyone, and we are back. Thanks so much for sticking with us. And listen, this is the spoiler discussion of Extraction. So by this point, this is your last warning. If you have not seen Extraction, pause this podcast, go watch it, come back, and hear us talk about it. Or if you just don't care about spoilers and you've seen the movie, feel free to listen on. So we're going to jump in right here and talk about the movie. First off, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to get everyone's overall thoughts. We'll start talking a little bit more detailed here in a second, but general thoughts. I want to start first with Gabe. Gabe, you saw Extraction. What did you think?
Oof.
Oof.
Oh, big ol' oof. No, it's fine, but boy, do I have some words about it.
Ooh, that sounds pretty harsh. We may be getting into it a little bit. Mitch, your overall thoughts. What'd you think of it?
So overall, I did enjoy the movie. Now, I definitely have some complaints, but I would say that I did like the movie.
Oh, this is interesting. So we're going to give this movie a rating at the very end, but I unfortunately, Gabe already spoiled it for us, so we already know what kind of a rating he's going to give. But Mitch, I was telling Gabe before we started recording that I'm making an estimation right here. I think Gabe was going to give it the worst score.
Uh-huh.
I think that you were going to give it the best score.
Okay.
And I was going to be in the middle.
Well, I think that's a pretty good prediction.
But I don't know. Based off what you just said, you and me might be tied.
Okay. Okay.
Or we might be sitting around where Gabe's level is. We'll see. This will be interesting.
Should be good.
So first off, what the first thing that stuck out to me about this movie so much was the violence, which is something that I had heard about and something that I think that we were all anticipating with the fact that we have again a stunt coordinator, Sam Hargrave, who came in and started directing this, and something that we're starting to see with stunt coordinators turned directors is that they love their violence in their movies. Mm-hmm. What did y'all think about the action? Gabe, let's start with you.
I dug it. It was so good. I could definitely tell that this guy worked, especially on the Captain America movies. It looked just like those action scenes. Punches, you could feel the punches. You could feel a knife play. It was so good. The combat was great.
That's a great thing to point out. So Captain America Winter Soldier sticks out to me with the way that Captain America and the Winter Soldier, Bucky, would fight with the knife. So you've got the famous scene on the bridge where he does the knife flip and then they just keep stabbing at him. And there was a lot of knife stuff going on in this movie, and you're absolutely right. I didn't make that connection until just now, but they do love their knife play between both of them, which is pretty exciting. A lot of great action in this movie. Mitch, what'd you think?
I agree. Each action scene really gripped me. I loved it. Kind of was looking forward to each action scene, from the very first one, which I think was probably my favorite. It really was a good first action scene, got me in the mood. And then, when the action ended, I was just waiting again for that next action scene. I really enjoyed it. And even like towards the end of the movie, I think there's a really quick shot of, Chris. He's using one of the enemies. I think he throws him. I don't know if y'all saw it, but he uses his enemy's legs momentum to hit another guy who's sitting there right in the torso or right in the upper body. And it looked funny, honestly.
That was awesome.
But yes, really enjoyed the action from the get-go.
This was one of those movies, and I alluded to this in part one, I think maybe I'm just a sick dude, but there were a couple kills in here where I audibly laughed out loud just a little bit.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm not the only sick individual on this show. But, someone just... I think that was one. The dude's neck getting broken by his comrade's legs.
Yes.
The rake. Another one where I audibly laughed.
The rake.
One part that really stuck out to me was Chris Hemsworth is trying to get the kid out of that apartment complex, and he sees one guy coming at him with a gun, so he shoots him, but then he rounds the corner. There are 3 other guys there about to take him down. And it's just his lightning fast reflexes. I was like, oh my god, this is an intense action scene. I honestly wasn't expecting it to throw out those many twists in the span of 7 seconds.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was all in one shot.
Yeah. Again, similarly, at the end of the movie, with what's his name, Raji or whatever. He's the not Chris, but Chris is Chris's equal.
Oh yeah.
At that part where he's
Raji.
getting the kid across the bridge, and he's in his hood, and he's making the kid take off his cap. Right there, that was, I think, the quickest reflexes, besides maybe the very first action scene where Chris bursts through the door with that AK. But he takes his hood off. He goes 1, 2, 3. Gets those like 3 shots off really quickly at 3 different angles. It was awesome. I really, really liked that first engagement part right there. Really nice.
Yeah, that was excellent. And I have to mirror y'all's thoughts on the action. The action stuck out to me this movie by far, and that first action set piece, honestly, and Mitch, I'm gonna agree with you on this. It's the best action set piece in the whole movie. When they're going through that apartment complex. So it starts off from when they're going from the woods in the forest, the driving sequence, which was crazy.
Yep.
All the way to the apartment complex, and it's still going. The action set piece is still rolling through. It reminded me, I don't know, I know, Mitch, you've seen this movie. I don't know if you've seen it, Gabe. The Raid.
I have not seen that one yet, no.
Oh, okay. Treat yourself. The Raid.
I keep getting told that.
Intense action movie. And this first action set piece reminded me of The Raid so much. It's just constant, one after another. Boom, 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 boom. Now, that movie is a lot more action it's a lot more martial arts than gunplay. But this seemed very much John Wick and The Raid. The Raid is very close quarters, and John Wick is very more open. The rooms are a lot bigger for him to move around in. So those close quarter combat scenes in this movie, especially in that apartment complex, very much reminded me of The Raid, with how fast that he's moving and taking guys out with each other and stuff like that. And inside that room where that rake scene happens, we see a guy come in through the door with the machete, and something that I saw with Chris Hemsworth's character is he starts dodging the machete the exact same way that the main character in The Raid is dodging machetes. It was, I could tell if it's either the biggest coincidence ever or Sam Hargrave is an absolute Raid fan.
Nice. I did enjoy that movie a lot. Loved it. I'm very glad you made me watch it. Great action flick.
Am I the only one that made that connection?
Yes, I did.
Did you see
I
that?
did not make that connection. That's a really good keen eye you got there, because I did not. Maybe it's just a common machete defense move.
Okay, before we close out the violent part of the segment, the child violence.
Yes.
Where do we stand on that?
That was.
I'm totally for it.
It was pretty shocking.
Kid comes at me with a gun, I'm gonna smack him in the face too.
Okay, when he kept slapping that kid, I was dying laughing.
It was hilarious.
But the first time that they did anything with the kids was when he threw that kid off the building. I was like, oh my god.
Yes,
This
that was
movie
crazy.
Does not care.
And
The movie doesn't mess around.
You kind of heard the body thud, and then also whenever the kids are outside smoking, and the officers just come up and just blast that other kid right in the head.
Yeah,
that was crazy. I was like, me and my girlfriend were on the couch. We're just like, what? Like, not expecting that.
Yeah, no, they did not hold back from the kid violence.
Yeah, they let us know what we were into really early on, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really shows, it sets apart, and if it wasn't more obvious, but the director just had to make it so, bad guys throw kids off the roof, good guys slap the kids in the face.
That's right.
Just had to make that connection.
That's great. That's a good morale going on there.
All right. Well, I think we talked enough about the action, but Mitch did bring something up that I wanted to touch on, because I felt the exact same way about this, is that when there wasn't action going on, I was sitting there just waiting, okay, when's the next set piece going to come on? And there's a pacing issue here,
Yeah, I was going to bring that up at some point. This movie, it does so well with the action, but where it drags is where I was hoping it wouldn't. Because when it stops, it's usually for a character moment. but they're just not that interesting to carry the story when there's not something exploding or people being shot at. Yeah, when the action's going, the movie's just flowing, it's just doing its thing, but when there's not an action set piece going on, it's like it doesn't know what to do with itself.
Hey there, this is Kylan, host of The Streaming Block. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, we've got it available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and many other places where podcasts can be found. You can find links to them in the description of this video. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Streaming Block. We'd love to chat with you guys about your favorite movies and get recommendations about future movies we could talk about on this show. We'd love to hear from you. Keep being awesome. Stream on.